Papa Damasus. The decision to promote Constantinople to second-in-command status did not go down well in Rome. For the Bishop of Rome, increasingly it felt like his world was under attack. The empire was weak. Barbarian tribes were threatening the borders, moving south from Germany, even heading towards Rome. Interestingly, they were called Arian barbarians. Arian missionaries had been active among the barbarian tribes. For barbarians interested in Christianity, one of the attractive things about Arianism was that it wasn't the official belief of the empire. And now, this so-called council, under this upstart Eastern emperor, had declared that Constantinople was second only to Rome. Nonsense. Rome, of course, was the former capital of the empire, purely symbolic. It was occasionally visited by emperors, sure, but they didn't stay there. This meant that the top dog in the city was the Bishop of Rome. And no one was more top-doggy than Damasus. Damasus is an example of how suddenly being a Christian leader had become a prize worth fighting for. Literally, in fact. He became Bishop of Rome in a most unholy way. He hired a gang of thugs to stone the church where his rival Ursinus had his headquarters. Some 137 people died in the resulting fight. He was the Bishop of Rome when Theodosius called the Second Ecumenical Council at Constantinople in 381, but like his predecessor during the Council of Nicaea, he refused to attend. Nor did any other Western bishops. Sometimes not many bishops attended from either East or West. The low point was the Third Ecumenical Council at Ephesus in 431, which attracted a measly 50 bishops. The rest sent notes from their mums. Damasus thought that Constantinople's new status threatened the historical preeminence of Rome. Rome was, after all, the only Western city mentioned in the Bible, unless Paul's missing letter to the Mancunians turns up one day. Damasus knew that Rome was preeminent not because the emperor lived there, but because it was the resting place of the bones of Peter and Paul. So Damasus started bigging up the connection with Peter and Paul. He named Rome the Apostolic See. He had a tablet set over the spot where it was believed that Peter and Paul lay buried, which read, "The East may have sent the apostles, but because of the merit of their martyrdom, Rome has acquired a superior right to claim them as citizens." He also started a much more overt use of the name Papa. Whereas the name Papa, Father, had previously been used in the West for any bishop, after Damasus it was to become a distinct, unique title for the Bishop of Rome. He encouraged rich people, notably women, according to the gossip, to donate large sums to the church. His enemies accused him of riding in gilded carriages and serving banquets so lavish that their dinner parties outdo the feasts of kings. Damasus's success with the ladies earned him the nickname Matrimonarum Auriscalpius, the ladies' ear tickler. It refers to his habit of whispering in their ears. At least, I hope it refers to that. To be fair, Damasus wasn't just about self-aggrandizement. He wanted to establish the unity of the church, and to emphasize that by now Christianity had a grand history. The relics of the martyrs and their shrines were to be a match for any of the grand buildings of pagan antiquity. But perhaps he is best summed up by the words of Basil of Caesarea. "The man is arrogant." He needed help at times, though. Rome still had a significant number of pagans, and when the Senate tried to preserve the pagan altar of victory from destruction, Damasus called in the big guns. He called in fellow bishop Ambrose, the fast-track bishop. Ambrose of Milan, circa 330 to 397, is notable for a number of things, not least being the first bishop with a name that sounds like a menswear shop, unless there was one called Bishop Trousers of Chelsea. The son of a Roman prefect, whose province included modern France, England and Spain, he followed his dad into a military career, becoming governor of the area that included Milan, which is where he accidentally got elected bishop. The Christian population had to elect a new bishop, but were bitterly divided over whom to choose. At this time, bishops were elected by the people of the city. Even as late as the 5th century, Pope Celestine I insisted that no bishop be given to a community against its will. The consent and desire of the clergy, people and nobility is required. Note that nobility bit at the end. Where was I? Ambrose was attending with a few troops, just in case any unchristian fisticuffs broke out. The crowd, seeing him there, dismissed the two candidates and chose Ambrose instead. He wasn't even a baptised Christian at the time, which meant that he had to be baptised, ordained, and then consecrated as bishop. It was the ultimate fast-track promotion, and it shows an assumption that they would have astonished and even repelled the early church, that someone with secular power would naturally be a good choice as a church leader. For the early church fathers, Ambrose's position as a Roman military official would have made it impossible for him to be a Christian, let alone a bishop. But to the people in Milan, at this point in time, he was the obvious candidate. Ambrose, as you might expect, proved to be very good at managing such power. He understood the minds of ordinary people. He promoted the relics of the martyrs and built new churches to house them. He composed music and songs. He fed the poor. He also recognized that, even at this stage, not all churches followed the same customs. "When I am here, in Milan," he wrote, "I do not fast on a Saturday, and when I am at Rome I do. If you do not wish to cause scandal, observe the local practice of any church you might visit." But he brought with him all the character traits of a member of the Roman upper classes. His social position gave him a huge influence with Theodosius, whom he persuaded to root out the last vestiges of paganism. Temples were demolished or converted to churches. The most famous example is the Parthenon in Athens, which transferred its allegiance from the goddess Athene to the Virgin Mary. Anti-pagan then, but also anti-Semitic. When rioters in Thessalonica murdered the governor, Theodosius sent in troops who massacred 7,000 of them. Ambrose was outraged and excommunicated the emperor until he repented. But in 388, Christian rioters attacked a synagogue in Callinicum, Mesopotamia, which they burnt to the ground. Theodosius ordered that the rioters should pay to rebuild it. But Ambrose bullied the emperor into cancelling the compensation owed to the Jewish community. "What real wrong is there, after all, in destroying a synagogue?" he wrote. "A home of perfidy, a home of impiety, in which Christ is daily blasphemed." Ambrose actually halted a mass the emperor was attending and refused to continue the service until Theodosius revoked the order. He is sometimes praised as a bishop who stood up to the emperor, but the effect of this protest was to get a load of anti-Semitic arsonists off scot-free. Ambrose grudgingly admitted that some Jews exhibit purity of life and much diligence and love of study, but attitudes such as his were becoming more and more common.